Girl, this Miami heat is insane. I need good vibes and a nice little refreshment right now, but I don't even feel like stepping back out in this heat.
Say no more. I got you. Starry Lemon Lime Soda.
Oh, you trying to be funny.
I'm just saying, Starry Lemon Lime Soda is good vibes and a great taste in a can. I know you're a homebody, so you don't have to leave your house for what you're looking for, and you're an early bird, so no caffeine for you.
All right. Okay, you think you know me.
And do.
I'll give it to you. This is fire. Like a crisp, you know what I mean? Just good, clear bursts of lemon lime flavor. I'm into it. Okay.
Looks like you'll be seeing another soda this season. Peace out to your old thing.
I know that's right. It's all about elevating on this side, on to bigger and better in every aspect of life.
Find Starry now in stores and online.
Right now is the perfect time to plan for 2025. You should be thinking, okay, I know I want to have a good Christmas. I know I want to travel. And think about what these things are. Think about when you're going to need that money and then back into the number.
Hi, I'm Amanda Booz.
Hi, I'm Krystal Vega.
And this is Elevators Podcast, where we talk about the peaks and valleys of life's journey, from entrepreneurship, relationships, friendships, all the ships, all from a lens of modern womanhood. And of course, we're going to give you a little taste of social media sizzling hot topics. And we have a special show today.
A very, very special show with a special guest. I'm so excited to have her. We have a CPA, Krystal Todd, with us. Hey, girl.
Hey, Krystal.
Hey, y'all.
Krystal and Krystal, look, I feel already like I'm outnumbered here on this episode.
are, and we're both from New York, so
yeah,
you're
but y'all
very
are both
outnumbered.
Aries, right? And I'm a Cancer, so be nice with me. I know you're a nice one. That's what I understand,
okay,
right?
okay.
So
She is the nice
it's
one.
this one I got to worry about.
Literally, like angel and angel times 2.
But we also share the same birthday, so it's so
That's out of
odd
control.
how we're very opposite.
Yeah,
No, for
out of
sure.
control, but I love it.
Yes, and I'm so happy that you're here. I was literally telling Krystal that I really enjoyed how we connected at the event that we had in February. So
fun.
you know, I was like, we got to get her on the show because
Yes.
first of all, your content on social media. If you're not following her on Instagram, it's not even just about getting. I guess you know we're trying to elevate our lifestyle. So we can have an episode where we talk about elevating and not talk about our finances.
Right.
As you being a CPA, having you on here to talk about it. But it's also the way you deliver it. Like it's from like a modern lens of a modern womanhood perspective.
And when Amanda and I were talking about having you on, I was like, Krystal's amazing at making finances digestible for people who may not understand it, and you do that very well on your TikTok. Girl, I be on your TikTok all the time. Or I be like taking your spreadsheets that you have on Google, the one for rentals. I was like, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna take that. She literally like makes it so simple for you to get your life together if you don't have it together. So we were like really excited to have you on and to talk to you about many things. And I don't know, I just kind of want to jump into it. Like,
let's do it.
Most recently, you talked about split personality on TikTok, and girl, a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, oh, like it was very simple, but like something I had never thought about. So can you talk to the people a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's difficult to really grow financially because you do have to be two different people depending on where you're at. So you'll see a lot of controversy online about like, oh, Dave Ramsey is like, he's giving bad advice or whatever. But if you have negative net worth, which we'll probably get into, you should listen to him, right? If you have poor spending habits, you might have to be saving a lot and, being more conservative, doing more DIY things because you don't have that capital available to just deploy freely, right? But once you start getting that money up, once your income starts growing, once you're like, ooh, what do I do with this money? You have to switch. Because at that point, saving is dangerous, okay? So, for example, Apple at one point had $32 billion saved in their bank account, okay, cash. And people were complaining. Why? Because I don't need to invest in you and while you hold on to cash. I could just hold on to cash, right? So when you have a lot of money, at that point, you have to start deploying it because no one wants to be sitting on just earning 3% or 4% when you can kind of step out into the risk curve and maybe go into stocks, go into business and grow. So at first you're more protected and you're more DIY, but then you need to lean on other people. You need to invest in getting more help, more skills, and more sophisticated ways to spend your money because you'll just kind of be stagnant if you just keep on staying, reserved and conservative and trying to cut your expenses. You have to start being risky.
So what exactly is like the split personality mindset? Like, because I think you talked about it on TikTok where you were saying like, I don't even remember. It was something about like kind of about saving, but it was something else that was involved in the split personality mindset.
I know it was saving, delegating, certain things like a 401k, which might seem good when you're beginning, but again, if you're not really super niche and expert on that, it might not be the best way to make money. So a lot of people will tell you, oh, you should diversify, you should get index funds. But we only have so much energy per day. If you think about it, we have like, maybe let's say we have 10 units of energy per day. If you're spending that energy, okay, I'll invest in index funds, and I'll try to do a high yield savings, and I'll try to do this. You're all over the place. If you spent those 10 units of just learning about real estate or just learning about business, you'd get much further. So they're telling you to diversify, and maybe it makes sense when you don't really know what's going on, but when you find your zone of genius, hone in to that bad boy and make that, and just focus on it. Don't get distracted by other ways to make money, because at that point, your energy is being spread too thin.
Basically, like taking risks when it's time for you to take the risk.
Yes. If you're not comfortable with money, then yes, you should diversify, because if you're putting all your eggs in one basket and you're clueless about that basket, well, basket gone, right?
I'm always curious to like learn about like how people kind of get in their lane. I love that your theme is literally becoming the richer you.
Yes.
What was that switch for you? Like, what was it that, like, what made you want to get into becoming a CPA and just like, you know, teaching people about financial literacy? What was that for you?
Also, how long have you been doing it for?
I've been a CPA since 2016, but I've been eligible, or I've been an accountant since 2015. You have to do 1 year of experience before you can actually become a CPA. So I passed the exam and all that, but so 2016 is officially when I become a CPA.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
I had to set the record straight
Yeah,
just in case.
so y'all know she's been doing
I'm not
this.
new to this.
She's not new to this. She's been doing it.
Absolutely
Because
not.
the way social media, it is so overwhelming to hear financial advice on social media. Like, you don't really know which way to turn. Like you said, sometimes it's like, to the diversifying topic.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? Like, you get really overwhelmed with all the information you get. So what are 3 lucrative ways where people can actually make money from their investments?
Okay. So first is what I'll call, like, let's say relevant skills. Like, I think a lot of people tend to ignore things because they don't understand that it's going to pick up, and you want to be an early adopter. So for example, with AI, do not discredit AI. Do not count it out. I mean, I see AI to the point of nausea. I'm like, it's sickening. Don't ignore that, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, this is going to replace our jobs. No, it's going to replace jobs of people who aren't taking action and being proactive. If you're still in the magazine industry when everybody's moving online, well, yeah, of course you're going to lose your job, right? So you have to keep up with the time. So for me, that's AI. A lot of information is online for free, so you don't even have to be worrying about not having enough capital. There's plenty of YouTubers teaching you about AI and figuring out different ways you can get into that industry. Also, copywriting, social media is still pretty important. More so with personal branding now. So I think a lot of CEOs are recognizing that they need to be the face of the company, but they don't necessarily want to do the work. Like, they don't have time to post. You can help them. And there's people who do ghostwriting for CEOs on LinkedIn, you know? So just get creative with the different skills that are going on right now. Don't ignore them. Become an early adopter, because then you can ride the wave. For example, the YouTube girlies back in the day, they didn't know what it was going to be. They didn't realize they were going to be early adopters, but they were. And then they rode that wave and became millionaires. So I would say if you see something picking up traction where it's like all over the place, definitely take it. That's a lucrative investment and really doesn't require a lot of money to get started.
Yeah.
That's what I define as lucrative. Like, I don't got to pay, but I get money, right? So low downside, big upside.
Something else I think to also just tag on to what Krystal was saying, that I think a lot of people probably who have like a 9 to 5, like, let's be real, a lot of millennials aren't entrepreneurs, and some of them are still working in corporate.
Yes.
So what would you say are some side hustles right now that people are like not so hip to, that we should probably be on it, just like you mentioned, like with AI and stuff like that?
Yeah, same thing. I think just what I like about social media so much, and I get obsessed with it because it changed my life. You know, I mean, that added 6 figures of revenue that I didn't have, that I would not have gotten. And what's crazy is it didn't require a degree. I mean, I have one, so obviously, but there's girlies just walking around showing their life.
Just from social media
Existing,
Yeah.
yes. So you don't necessarily need that, and that's what I love about it. So anything you can do to put yourself out there, even if you don't necessarily want to do a side hustle. If you were to go on LinkedIn, for example, and just become a thought leader is what they're calling it, right? You can attract attention from larger companies. You could probably get better opportunities too, because I don't want to just, I'm obsessed with 9 to 5. I mean, I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship, but I understand some of my girlies don't really want to go that route. They
prefer
security.
Yeah.
So still getting on social media is super lucrative. It's not too late. If you think it is, you're lying to yourself. for sure. So get on social media. Like I said, the ghostwriting thing I really like a lot because a lot of brands are not even really present like that, especially with local businesses. You know, you can get their voice heard and they can bring in some more people. They don't even know the power of social media and how it can really amplify your brand.
I'm glad you said that. And I love that you were even open enough to share with us how much you've made on social media. We always talk about, you know, our social media content on our platform, but like post the content because clearly you can make a lot of money by, you know, just being on social. What was the one post that like took you to like the point of saying, okay, I could do this and make some money? Because you said 6 figures. That's six figures is a lot of money to make on Instagram.
For sure. So the reason I got on was because there was a YouTuber back in the day called Graham Stephan. I think he still does YouTube. And he was like, here's how much I made on YouTube. So I'm like, I'm nosy, so I go and see. I'm like, 30,000 in a month? Oh, let me get the camera. Where the camera's at? Yeah. So it was because the thing is, he was a real estate agent. And I'm an accountant. I'm like, you're doing personal finance and you get in this bag and I'm over here slaving at this job and I'm making nowhere near that. I make that in a year.
Yeah.
Where the camera's at? So that's what motivated me, the money, obviously. You know, now I've learned a lot more about social media and business, and it's much more about what you can do for people, how you can transform their lives. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but if you do help people and you actually make a difference in their lives, the byproduct is money.
Facts.
So. And I have to say, you definitely assisted me. And when I ran into your content, one thing that, I mean, there was plenty of things, but one thing that I really took from you was like treasury bonds. Oh, girl, you was giving me the stats, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna put this and that, and so like that to me was super helpful. So like treasury bonds. What else would you say if somebody has the funds they should be putting their money into? Because I have always said I've never believed in a 401k, and I don't know why, but I just always felt like that
something
didn't
about
make sense to me.
It doesn't feel right.
It just don't sit right.
It just doesn't. It's
for
also
me.
It's not making as much as it needs to for people, in my opinion.
So for the girls who do have a 401k, I mean, I think that the
we're not saying to not have one.
There's no problems. I think that the best, if you don't have employer matching, what are you doing? Get out. That doesn't make any sense because your money is tied up. If you want to get your money, well, guess what? You're going to be paying a fee to get your money out. And you can invest the same exact way outside of it. You can open up your own Fidelity account. You don't have to go through your job. But if they employer match, then I think it makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
But there is so many layers to the conversation of what to invest in because there's literally the stocks, the real estate, you know, but then there's also which industries, because certain industries thrive during recessions and some don't. So it's a little bit deeper. And then the layer that's, I think, most important is what's your money motivator? So there's 5.
Oh, I love when you talk about that. Tell us more.
Yes. There are 5 reasons people are out here trying to make that mañana, okay? So one is materials, which was, I think, what we see a lot online. Like, you want the nice things. That's me. I'm not... Unapologetically, I like my nice things. Same. So there's materials, there's movement, which is by far the most popular. I've polled like over 800 people. Movement by far. They want to be able to do what they want, when they want, with your money. I want to travel. That's movement. Then you have status. I would say it kind of borders material, but it's more like you want to enjoy life at a higher level, right? So maybe go first class versus economy. Maybe go to networking events that cost money, because if you want to be around rich people, you're gonna pay.
It costs.
Okay.
Scared money don't make no money.
That's true.
Period. Okay. So that's status, and then there's family, taking care of your family, obviously. So for example, if you're somebody who's materialistic or like movement, you're gonna need to invest in things that cash flow now and not just appreciate. So they don't just grow over time, but they can also pay you now. Some examples of that would include real estate that you don't live in, right? So a rental property, obviously, it's appreciating in value and that money's coming in. So you can buy that Birkin. You can buy, well, I don't know if you can buy the Birkin because there's a lot going on with the Birkin, but you could buy another purse. You could buy something else that's on no games, right?
Maybe a Louis.
Yeah, maybe you could definitely get you a Louis.
Some a little lower.
So then, so you want cash flow because you need that money now.
Right.
But if you're somebody who's worried about your family and wants to make sure, look, they got to be straight if I go, then you want to focus on appreciation, right? Because then you maybe you don't need that money right now. Maybe you have a good job, you're not really pressed about it, but when you leave, you want to leave them with a nice paid off house that's appreciated, or some stocks that have really grown in value. So it's multifaceted. I think you have to just take a lot of time working through those factors and figure out what makes the most
and
sense for you.
being honest with yourself.
Yes.
And if it's a Chanel bag, let it be a Chanel
Let
bag.
it be.
Be honest
There
with
is,
yourself.
I don't like the shame around that, okay? Oh, sorry, the last one is survivorship. You don't want to be there. That's bird behavior, right? Not bird like New York bird, but like literally birds and ants. My bad, y'all.
It's low. It's just low.
No, when you think about animals, everything they do is out of necessity, right?
Yeah.
So they...
Is that kind of like making ends meet?
Yes, because they don't have our 6 human superpowers. Like the biggest one is imagination. So we can imagine a life that's more convenient, and we can imagine things that are more efficient, but they just build a nest. Like a bird builds a nest, and they can't have like a air conditioned nest. They don't have the power of imagination that we do. So you don't want to be in survival mode, because that's literally just animalistic. You're not even tapping into your superpowers as a human.
I love how you broke that down. It made like so much sense, because I feel like, and that's the issue. I feel like these days is there's so many people, like there's a lot of information out there, but break it down so we can understand it.
Literally.
Right. Especially on social media, kind of like what I was saying before, is that it's very hard to decipher who's stating facts, what's like really facts, and also to decide what to focus on, because so much content is being thrown at you. You really don't know which way to go.
And everything, it seems like it's being like you're selling, like someone's selling something.
Somebody got an ebook somewhere.
Someone got an ebook, a get rich quick plan. And like, I know it's something that Krystal and I have talked about all the time too, is like, how do we know what's real and what's fake? Like, if it's too gimmicky, should we not buy into it? Like, what are the different signs or things we should look for when people are trying to sell us a product in order to make money?
Yes.
What are things that you think we should look for? Because I know that the scams is out there. They're scamming.
Let me tell you something. I have seen things where it's like, buy a dump truck, you'll make $30,000. I'm like, how?
Or even for the girlies out there, like there's people that are like, oh, buy this, you can, this hair vendor, or buy this, and I got all the vendors for this. I got the vendors for these boutiques, like, and a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't know what to do, and they turn to these different ebooks and these different avenues, but like some of them are getting scammed.
Yes. If you're looking for something and it's just any old thing, like you got attracted by, dump trucks, you got attracted by real estate, you're in survival mode. That's the clear sign, because you're just looking for any way to make money.
That's the bottom we were talking about.
Yes. So if you're doing that, recognize that you're not finding your zone of genius and really multiplying that. So for example, I'm good at accounting. I didn't just look for like, okay, I'm gonna just find the next thing to make. I'm gonna just do accounting, like just on a personal level, and my own thing. So I think it's important to figure out what you actually would be willing to spend 10 years on, because sometimes you'll be getting into it and it might not be so quick that you get the money. They're telling you, oh yeah, it's quick, but it really, there's always some sort of nuance.
It's cap.
Right. Yeah. And maybe they got lucky. I don't want to discount people and say they're lying, because maybe it did happen to them. But if you're a unique situation, that results may vary. You have to just move with skepticism. Okay. Chances are you feel it. Like you could feel that certain things. I'm like,
it just doesn't feel right.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't make any sense. So if it's not your zone of genius and you're not willing to put in the hours to actually vet it, then don't even bother, because business is not just some quick 10-minute thing. You're working hard, you're working tirelessly, and it don't stop.
So what would you say for like, because I get the whole thing about being passionate, like accounting, if you love real estate, that's your thing. But what about the people who don't know what their thing is?
Just start with what you're doing right now, right? Because I don't love accounting. I'm just good at it, right? But I'm not. There's certain things that I like about it and that I don't. So on a personal level, I just do the things I like. So I don't file taxes for people. There's not a chance. I'm gonna be fighting with y'all about deductions or nothing like that. So if you're not passionate yet, then just do what you're doing right now at a higher level, because obviously you're already used to it. And I think that's a safe bet, because you've already working in something that you're used to working in. I think these things kind of just come about. I can't say that I knew I was gonna be in this position when I started 5 years ago posting online. I just knew I wanted to make money, and I was good at talking about.
Wait, repeat that. 5 years ago.
Yes,
because we just said that too.
I started in 2019. Exactly.
Like it takes time to build your empire.
Exactly, and you're basically just. From a content perspective, you're just putting things out there and waiting for the light to strike. When you see people with a whole bunch of followers, a lot of it came from like a handful of viral videos.
Yeah.
There's like, so you're just you're getting those reps in.
Or they bought them.
Right. There's that. Right. again, if you don't really have your passion, just stick to what you're doing right now, and it will develop. It's not necessarily like you have to have everything figured out. I've been in masterminds with people who are like stuck at $1 million and they can't figure it out. So at every level financially,
stuck at $1 million.
I know, I get so pissed when I hear that.
I'm like, terrible.
And they're depressed. Okay, I'm not kidding. They're depressed. Like, so
that's a good problem to have.
At every, you would think, right? But at every level, it's the same thing. It's just different degrees of it, really.
Yeah. I know you mentioned that you can file taxes, but you don't like to, right? And I think they said no, so don't call me for that. No. But what are like 3 things, and it could be tax related or it could not be tax related, but like 3 social media fads in terms of finances that we can debunk? Because I see the craziest things online where it's like, you can write this off and you can write that off. And I'm like, the IRS is watching us right now.
Or you're guaranteed a certain amount that you get back.
Yeah.
Right. So do we want to do like the fads or do we want to do the taxes? Because I think I have 2 different ones. So for fads, for example, it'll be trading, and we could get into trading, and then just kind of the rise around people praising underconsumption.
Yeah, because if I gotta save $5 every day, there's something else I'm doing.
Cut it
that $5
out,
for my coffee is not the problem. That's not the problem.
Exactly. So I want to do taxes because that's important too. But just as far as the things on social media, I see a lot of people. It's kind of died down with Forex, thank God. But still, traders are like, come on, you could trade. You're gonna make this much money. No, a lot of times what you're doing is giving them an income stream because you're dependent on them to give you the play, to tell you when to like hit the trigger or whatever. So you're more of an income stream for them than actually being empowered to do it yourself. You need them. And then Forbes every year comes out with the top 100 richest people. None of them
are on that list.
Traders. None of them.
That's crazy.
So you have to kind of get dramatic. Like if nobody has become super rich off of this, then what does that mean?
Right.
Facts.
And then something that bothers me that I think will sound contrary, but I'm getting to a good point, is when people are telling you to underconsume. I know on TikTok, every time you scroll, it's like a little orange little cart in the bottom, and and I understand, I get it, I know it's annoying. However, when you encourage people to not spend, you're not considering second order consequences.
Hey elevators, this episode is brought to you by Ford. You know we love dropping gems on ways to elevate in life, so we had to take a moment to talk about why being open to new roads is so crucial when chasing your goals.
See, because when you're on a journey to elevate your life, staying flexible and ready to adapt can unlock amazing new opportunities you could have never imagined. It's all about finding the freedom to change course.
So if you're feeling the vibe to break out of your usual routine and reroute your journey, lean into it. Reinventing yourself is such a powerful way to live more fully and get the most out of every moment.
On the road of reinventing ourselves, it's just as vital to find those little things in life that gives us a sense of stability, like the new Explorer.
Turn up the adventure with Ford digital experience, including a 13.2-inch center touchscreen where you can always watch the latest episode of Elevators. Don't forget who put y'all on.
Start your next adventure in America's all-time best-selling SUV. Based on S&P Global Mobility 1946 current U.S. total new cumulative registrations for all vehicles identified as SUVs. The new Ford. Well, you know what it is. It's all in the name. The new 2025 Ford Explorer, built Ford proud.
You're not considering second order consequences. So
what's that?
Second order consequences, for example, if I'm tired and I'm like, let me drink this Red Bull. First order consequence is I'm gonna have energy right now. In 2 hours, your behind's getting handed to you, right? You're gonna be crashed out. So if you don't think about that second order consequence, you're gonna go in there thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna have all this energy, and then find yourself crashed out. So when you are encouraging people to not spend money, you think that you're attacking the corporate giants because you're not spending money at their corporations, but they're going down last. They are the captain of the ship. They're gonna fire people well before they take a cut or they don't get stock options. So what you think you're doing is you're saving your money and you're being responsible and you're giving it to the corporate people or capitalism. But what you're really doing is causing a recession. And it sounds dramatic, but recessions at its foundation is people stop spending.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
If you stop buying because you feel so proud, now the person who was making those products gets fired. they get fired, it becomes a flywheel. Now they're not spending as much, now on necessities this time. And it just goes and goes and goes until the recession just grows. So ultimately, you're the second order consequence of telling people to don't support capitalism and don't shop is you're asking for a recession.
And the things go up because that coffee was like $5 and now it's like 10. So
it's ridiculous. I mean, we could shift where we're spending our money. I definitely agree with that. But I wouldn't just champion not spending just because if everybody were to get onto that, then we enter a recession, which is what happens.
Yeah, I'm curious about the taxes though. Like that's an interesting one that I would love to
one that I think people don't talk about because it's not sexy is education. You can write off education. I go to conferences all the time. I just went to one from Tony Robbins. It was like $10,000, which sounds like a lot of money, and it is. But in social media, we don't have like margins are big, and margins are just basically the space between what you make and what you have to spend to make that money. I have like a Zoom. And like my phone is already paid for. Like if I want to pay less taxes, what do I need to do? I need to start investing in something. You can any type of course, magazines that are related to your industry, networking events, they're all tax deductible. And I encourage you to do that because people, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Now, when you say course, we're not talking about the ebooks online, right?
That too.
Or you can write those off?
Absolutely. Anything that will help you make more money in your business. So you can't be buying, I don't know, like some sort of how to curl your lashes when you're not a lash tech, right? Like that's not gonna work. It has to be relevant, of course. But yes, it all is. And we don't really think about that. I think education gets thrown to the side, but these are the skills that people are learning and they're implementing. And if you don't do it, you're gonna fall behind. So don't be afraid to still invest. It doesn't stop at college. It doesn't stop at high school. And it's deductible. So
that's crazy. I would have never thought to put anything education like related on my tax. I feel like there's so many things that we can write off on our taxes that we don't know about.
Yes. Vacations too, if they're mostly business related. Yes. So
what do you have to prove for that though?
I'm gonna double down on this because
and how long does it take for them to spin a block? And
does it matter if you're going to Central Pay? You got to be going to New York. Like where do you have to go?
Typically, domestic is best because if you do anything international, it might be considered like luxurious. There's still I guess things you can get around it, but just for our starting small businesses, if there's a conference that you are interested in and it's in New York and you live in Miami, your flights can be deductible, your hotel, partial amount of your meals. So you can go to there, you can go and you can feel empowered. Like, okay, well, I spent this money, but at least I'm not going to pay taxes on it. So definitely. And then even if you do make it a vacation, so you're like, man, I always wanted to go to New York, go to the conference, maybe have business meetings there with whoever, and then you can use the other half of the trip to just do vacations. Obviously, that part is not deductible, but that is 100% legal.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, this is not tax advice.
Absolutely not.
For the record.
We got to put that in there.
Because you're not, we'll be acting.
Right. She said I can write off my G-Wagon.
Yes.
Which you can write, like,
which people do that,
Can't you write off a truck
because it has to be a certain weight,
6,000 pounds. Okay. That gets beat to the ground. Like, I didn't even want to mention that because everybody's like, oh, I bought a G-Wagon. Like, most people aren't buying G-Wagons, first and foremost. But most people can go get education. So I would definitely champion that. Also, if you're a small business, there's something called... it's like QBI, so it's like an additional 20% off that you pretty much get just for being a small business. And you probably have to talk to your tax preparer so they actually give it to you. But it's 20% off of your taxes, so you can use that money to invest right back into your business. And there are some qualifications, like if you go over a certain income amount, you won't be qualified for it, but the income is like over 100,000. So a lot of people have an opportunity to take advantage of that.
That's good to know.
You sure you don't want to do my taxes?
Yeah, right. Like, will you take clients? Like, okay.
So I do tax strategy.
We'll talk after the show. We'll talk after the show.
Also, S corp. If you have a business and you're making, let's say at least 50,000 net. You should go into an S corp. There's multiple benefits of that. You save 15% on your taxes because you have you get paid as a W-2 employee, and then you also get distributions, which just come straight into your check. But you get a W-2, like you get a paycheck, which is nice because a lot of people have problems when they're business owners and they're trying to go and get a loan or something, and they have to prove all these things. They don't know it's your business. You have a W-2. Yeah. You just give the W-2 and go about your business, or give your paycheck and move on.
So if you're an S corp, you get 15%, but if you're a small business, you can write off 20%.
No, you can use both of those. So it's two separate things. So the S corp is just a classification. If you just say I want to start a business today, you're just a sole proprietor. So you haven't done anything to really stand out or classify yourself as anything else. Once you see yourself making 40,000, 50,000, it makes more sense for you to be an S corp. It's just an election. So you're saying, hey, I want to be treated kind of like a halfway corporation. It flows through your personal, but you get to, like I said, it's a little complicated, but it's basically
you pay yourself back.
You create this entity that still flows to your personal taxes, but you can pay yourself as a W-2, and you don't pay salary taxes.
Debunk this for me, because I was told that if you do have an S corp, you can only pay yourself a certain amount.
Yes, it has to be reasonable. So typically reasonable would be like 40 to 50%, even sometimes people do 60% of whatever your net is. So if you made $10,000, you would pay yourself as a W-2 employee $5,000, and then the other $5,000 you just pull out of your bank account. You can still pay yourself. It's just
because the other $5,000 would have to be used for tax purposes.
The reason they don't want you to do that is because they don't want you to just avoid the 15% on all the money, right? Because what the S corp basically helps you pay a little bit less taxes because you are a more sophisticated company. You're not just starting out, but you're not a corporation yet. So basically, there's like if you have this election. Well, whatever you pay yourself as a W-2 employee, you're going to pay salary, like extra 15% taxes on, because that's like the salary taxes, right? But then the other money that you don't actually pay through the W-2, that's just sitting in your bank account, that comes out and you don't pay any of those wage taxes on them. So what some people would do is say, hey, I made $10,000, but I'm the CEO, so $9,000 of it is a distribution and only $1,000 is a W-2. So now you just basically avoided paying taxes on that on $9,000.
Yeah.
So long story short, it's just, if you just make sure you're giving yourself maybe at least half of the money, it goes as a paycheck, and the other half you just pull out how you already was doing before, you'll be fine.
I love that. So y'all know we're like literally into the fourth quarter now of the year, and we want all of our girlies and everyone that's tuned in and supports the show. We all want to get to the next level, right? And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have this show and have you on. We want to know, like, in your opinion, what is something right now that you feel like, what's the number one thing that's hindering people from getting to the next level financially?
Oh.
Yeah, because I read somewhere that it's car notes. Like, people are paying so much in their car note right now. It might have been on TikTok, it might have been on Google, don't quote me.
And I'm wondering if it's subscriptions, because I feel like Apple is taking money out every 5 seconds. Like every night, every day you wake up, it's Apple. Something is coming out of the account from Apple. So I don't know if it's subscriptions, car notes. What do you think it is that could be something that we can eliminate?
It's taxes by far.
Really?
Yes. So we have federal taxes, which on average is about 20%. You have sales taxes, property taxes. I mean, you can't walk out without getting taxed.
Taxes on taxes.
Yeah, so that's the biggest one. So, if you move to Delaware, for example, you avoid sales tax. They don't have that. You live in Florida, you avoid state taxes. So there's ways to avoid it. And if you have a business, you can write certain things off. That's the biggest thing. And this one is not as, tactical or strategy-wise, but it's really mindset. That's the biggest, like by far, that holds people back, because you know what, if you have expenses, they're going to come up, but you have to have the mindset to say, you know what, I'm going to keep on earning more money and increase my earning potential so that I'm not worried about cutting Starbucks.
Money flows expected in unexpected ways.
Exactly. So just being abundant minded, honestly. And I think when you're worried about how could you cut back, that's scarcity mindset. So I don't encourage people to do that. That's Dave Ramsey's scripture.
See, that's why I don't cut back. I go shopping.
Wait a minute.
Listen, Chanel, look, she's gonna be like, I need the Chanel because I know I'm gonna get the money
Bell
back.
Harbor, here we come.
Of course, obviously, there's don't be wilding out, right? Like, don't come over here. Krystal told me to spend. Nah, Krystal didn't tell you that, okay? This one didn't tell you to do that.
Krystal said to spend, but had that mindset you're gonna get it back.
Exactly. Or you don't spend before you have. But if you're worried about money, I would worry about making more versus like, how can I make myself smaller? Because chances are, whatever you bought, you wanted that.
Right.
So why? So don't. I want to be in my want era. Why not?
Absolutely. And you deserve. I always say that you deserve. And I know we're planning for like holiday shopping.
Yes.
Right.
What are some things that people can be thinking about as it relates to holiday shopping and like making sure they're getting gifts for their loved ones and then still not running into the top of the year trying to figure it out?
A lot of people want to budget for like whatever it is, holidays, birthdays, but you shouldn't budget for birthdays. You should be projecting for birthdays. It's a little bit different. So budgeting has 4 different parts. I think everybody knows, like, you budget. So that's just like, here's what I think I'm going to be spending. Then there's actuals. Here's what I actually spent. Most people stop right there because they're not accountants. Projections and forecasts are when you say, hey, every year my birthday's the same. Like, look, every year I'm going somewhere. Like,
Right.
So from January, you should be planning to spend $1,000 from my birthday. Like, you have to be a year out. Every business that's very successful, they always are at least a whole year out. If you know that you have Christmas coming up in December, why are you thinking about it right now? You should have had that, that January. So right now is the perfect time to plan for 2025. You should be thinking, okay, I know I want to have a good Christmas. I know I want to travel, and think about what these things are. Think about when you're going to need that money and then back into the number. So if you know you're going to spend like $1,200 on gifts, right? And it's November now, and you want to do it in November coming. Well, that math means from now until November, I need to save $100 extra every single month so I can afford it and not be like, oh my God, I don't know. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
No, cut it out.
That makes sense.
Can you tell us, like, in a percentage, how should people be spending their money? Like, so annually, should we be putting 10% to the rent, 20% to the car? That was terrible, not the car. But you get what I'm saying? Like, how should people be spending their money?
Yeah, I think so. I think people say 50, 30, 20 because it sounds good. Like, oh yeah, 50 should be towards your want or your needs, and then 30 for your 20 for your savings and 30 for your wants. That sounds good, but who is grabbing a calculator and doing that for real?
Yeah, right.
Nobody. So cut it out. I think that if you make things more complicated, you're not going to do it. So ultimately, my main goal is I want to take more money back home than the IRS does. And if I do that, I'm in good shape. The IRS, like I said earlier, 22% is what on average what they take. Most people are not even saving $1,000. Right. So if you can get to a point where at least you're paying yourself 20 to 25%, you're getting the most of your effort, not the IRS. I definitely think that if you focus on that, just making sure that as much money as you are getting coming in kind of stays stuck with you, so you kind of go from income to assets. If you can convert as much money as you can to that, then you're in good shape.
I know you were just talking about percentages. Is there a certain percentage that people should be saving for, like, the rainy day fund? Because I know, like, there's been, like, different statistics about, like, how the average American doesn't have, like, $5,000 to $10,000 just to save for, like, crisis. Is there a certain number that you feel like that we can break down for, if you make like 100 of this amount, how much you should have, or if you make this amount, 200 and up, this, like, is there like a percentage that you, like, people should be saving?
Yeah, I think it goes based on really your life. So what I like to say about emergency funds is, first, save at least enough for whatever emergency you had, double, right? So for example, my daughter had a surgery that cost $12,000. So I know that, and obviously that was not a fun time, right? But that was my last emergency. So maybe I want to have $12,000. I obviously also earn a lot more money, but like maybe before that happened, my biggest expense was like my car broke down and it cost me $900. So if I could at least save $1,800, I know, well, the biggest problem I had last time cost me $900. I hope that I don't want no more bigger problems, Lord. Just give me the smaller problems, right? Then from there, you could think about how much you need to save per month. And again, it might vary, because if you have really good skills or a really steady job, you might not feel the need to have as much. But the standard people say is 3 to 6 months. I would not go above 12 months, because at that point, that's when I was talking about you have too much saved up and then the money's just sitting there doing nothing. What's the point? So you don't want to go too overboard either. Depending on how much expenses you have, and especially if you have a business, you might need to have more. So maybe you do need 12 months because you have employees and you have other things to consider. But as an individual, I think first double your last emergency, and then just get at least 3 months. And again, that might take a while. You might not have, I was working with somebody and she's like, yeah, my goal is to have, my 6 months emergency savings. We did the math. She wasn't going to get it until 15 months. Okay. Sheesh. So a lot of times you're just throwing things out and you don't even really know if you can actually afford it like that for real.
Wow.
Speaking of affording things, and this might be a little touchy subject, but I feel like a lot of people have this issue sometimes with lending money, right? Some people are borrowers, some people are lenders, and sometimes it could be friends, family that's closest to you. Let me just say it straight. When someone owes you money, what would you say like is a good way to go about getting it if it's not something that you can directly go and get?
Yeah, how I would get my money back?
Yeah.
Hey, mama.
She said blood.
You know why I'm here. Don't play. Okay? So, ask. First of all, I wouldn't loan anything I could not gift. Like, that's just crazy. I wouldn't loan the whole amount. Because if you go to the bank, I want a car. They want you, what's the down payment? Okay, so if you asking for $1,000, like, where's your equity? Like, I need you to put at least a little 200 or something if I'm loaning out money. And then if you're someone who's like maybe not confrontational, I am from New York, I am Caribbean, so I will confront you. But at least now, I never used to, but I will confront you now. But you know what? The reframe is, if somebody doesn't pay you back, that's the biggest favor that they could have done for you. I consider that you just made, obviously you lost some money, but that's like a peace tax, you know? Because when they come back, because you know they will.
Right.
You ain't pay me back. Don't ever ask me for nothing again. So it's actually a blessing in disguise.
They always say that's the quickest way to lose a friend. Like, lend them money.
Don't even do it. I don't play that.
I love that you say don't lend out what you can't get back, because or
give.
Don't lend out what you wouldn't gift.
Yep.
Because I actually lent out money to a lash tech.
I already knew where this was going.
Not a lash tech.
When I see her, no, literally.
Wait, Krystal, tell the story though. You gotta tell the whole story.
So basically, when I first moved down here, I found a lash tech that I really liked, and I was going to her, and she was cool. It was comfortable. I was going to her house, and then after like 1 or 2 sessions during the holiday season, she had asked me to borrow money. So first of all, before that, this was my fault, because before that, she had took off her Instagram. Like, her Instagram was down, and I was like, that's weird, but I was stressed because I'm like, I love the way she did my lashes. Like, I don't really like going up to people's houses, and like, I just found the lash tech that I thought was for me.
Right.
Anyways, she had asked me to borrow like $900, baby.
Girl, that's out of control.
Absolutely not.
But wait, did you pay for your service in that session? Or she just let you?
She called me. So I thought it was, she said it was an emergency. So she called me, and I had to FaceTime her, like, hold on, let me make sure this is not like a scam. Because, Florida, sunny state, shady people. And so I called her on
don't do my people like that. Don't do my people.
I'm just saying, y'all be doing a lot down here. And she was like, oh, no, it is me. And she was like, I know, like, this is so weird, but like, I'm having an emergency. I need to fly to Chicago. And I was like, okay, well, I'll lend you money, but I'm not going to lend you the full amount. Yeah. So I basically lent her what I was not like worried about getting back. I was like, you know what? If she really needs this, then God going to do his big one for me. Right. But if not, then it is what it is. Like, I'll just take it as an L, whatever. Yes. So yeah, homegirl took the money, never came back. And she had offered me like a lash service too. So
how much did you give her?
It was more than $200. But I wasn't worried about it. Yeah. I was like,
if you lost it was money.
Yeah, it is what it is. But still, it's the principle.
Absolutely.
And she was like, I'll give you the money back, and I'll give you a session on the house or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, all right, she'll do my lashes. Cool. It's not a big deal. But definitely learned my lesson. And at that point, I was like, I'm never lending anybody money ever again.
She's one step from a stranger.
And you got a good heart.
I don't know where she lived. I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah. You got a good heart.
Right, because I'm a girl. I don't know you like that.
But that's why I was like, maybe she really needs it, because I'm not the type of person to ask anybody for money.
Me either.
In life, period. Like, I don't even remember the last time I asked my mom for money.
But if you're asking a customer for money, what is going on at the house?
Something that was going on.
I thought that she was trying to run from her husband.
Ooh.
So she
probably going on.
Yeah, she probably had to figure it out. You blessed her, but you know what?
You was gonna figure it out.
No, you have a good heart, and you blessed her. But while we on this maintenance talk, we recently went viral over.
They chewed us up.
We recently went viral, and I'm so happy.
Because apparently we spent too much money on maintenance. But
also, in all honesty, we were giving figures, right? We were giving like on the high end. Not to say that we specifically spend that dollar amount, but now that we have a professional CPA in the building, we want to know, what is your version of a maintenance breakdown based on income? How should people be spending their money on maintenance? Because we love maintenance. We love a good hair, nail situation.
So I know y'all was in the thousands with it. I mean, it's a little bit tough because maintenance in general has just gone up. Hair braiders are acting crazy, like lash techs, everything is going up. So it's really hard to even say, like, if you're going out there to do all that services, you're gonna spend at least $700, especially if you're somebody who likes to really keep yourself up. You have to make sure that you can afford it. If you are spending more on services than you are on your savings, that's a little weird, right? Like,
facts.
Why are you saving $200, but you got $700 worth of other expenses going on? You know, maybe you got to cut that back. So you have to kind of adjust the ratios in my mind. I wouldn't be I would not be spending more than I'm saving. I would like to at least have, okay, you know what, I'm spending this much money, but at least I have this much being saved. So, and again, maybe you have a different circumstance too. Like if you already have a healthy 401k and some extra savings, you might be able to spend a little bit more. It's a little bit tough to tell, but the thing is, if you do a budget, you know what you can spend and what you can't. You know, just get clear on what your numbers are and what you can actually afford. Make sure you pay yourself first. That is the very first bill. As an individual, not as a business owner, but as an individual, yes, pay yourself first, sure. And then whatever you have left, that goes towards whatever you can afford from there. Some people do it the other way around, and my hair got to be done.
Yeah.
And now you're sitting in the dark.
Yeah.
That's
not
with
good.
no utilities.
That's not good.
So basically, just
Do
if
your
it works
math.
for you,
Yes.
it works
if
for
you
you.
can't afford the $3K, then don't spend it. Duh.
Right,
Like
facts.
they be online doing too much sometimes. I'm like, please give it up. Like,
They
So
be
y'all don't chew
chewing
us up, okay? Do
Yeah.
not chew us up.
if we going into debt for it, then obviously not. But you don't know these people. You don't know
Right.
our pockets. Like you can't. But people just
Right.
they have to say something. So you got to just let them.
Everybody
chat.
has an opinion.
Get that engagement
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Thank you, Mama.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. Yo, this conversation though, like really inspired me in so many ways to get ready for 2026. Because we not thinking about
Right.
2025. We should have thought about that
We up on
earlier.
it. Right. Hello.
So
Yeah.
I just really appreciate that you came by and dropped some valuable gems for us
of
on the show
course.
that we
Thanks for
all
having
can
me.
utilize. So yes, thank you so much.
Like I want to kind of end with this. I always talk about business because businesses have stood the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
They support families. They weather the storm. That's what individuals want to do. So why not align yourself to people who are doing this at a much higher level and just kind of pick what you can at an individual level?
I love that. And for anyone who wants to find out anything about like any of your templates and your guides, where can they find all the information?
Yes, I have an accountability group that I just launched. So I'm on you. I'm on you. All right. Every week with it, we're doing live calls. It's going to be about budgeting and entrepreneurship. Krystal Todd CPA across everything: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. KrystalTodd.com for all my other products, and that's it.
I love that. Krystal, thanks for joining us here on Elevators Podcast. We gotta have her again. We're gonna plan for
Ask some
next year.
questions. Let us know what you need for next time.
Yes, let us know in the comments, and then we will answer it on the next time Krystal comes on.
That's right. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.